College football is right around the corner, and that means all we have is preseason rankings, guys. And in this video, I'm going to be going over the Big Ten preseason composite power ratings. This is an average of all the 27 critically acclaimed analytical power ratings, which include the S&P Plus, ESPN FPI, Sagarin, and the Massey ratings. And we're going to start at the bottom with the lowest rated Big Ten team this year, Northwestern. A program that is in absolute disarray. They haven't won on North American soil in 2 years, I think since October of 2021. They went 1-11 last year, and they just lost the greatest coach in the program's history, Pat Fitzgerald. He had more than half of the school's entire 10-win season's number, and they just fired him, and it doesn't look like that saga is ending anytime soon. He's hired lawyers, and it just looks like that's going to be an ugly situation going forward. And Northwestern, it does not look like they have any promising future, especially for this year. They're ranked 103 overall. Their strength of schedule is average, and their returning production is about 45th, but this is easily the worst team in the Big Ten this year, and most likely, who knows if they'll even improve off the 1-11 season. Next is Rutgers, a team that has had high hopes the past few years, ever since Greg Schiano has gotten hired, but has never made a bowl game since 2020. 4-8 record last year. They have not made a bowl game, I do believe, have not become bowl eligible since 2014. Last year they did make a bowl, but they were at 5-7, and they finished 5-8 with a loss in the bowl to Wake Forest. This team is still on the rebound, looking to make that 6 wins, get to bowl eligibility for the first time in, like I said, almost a decade. 101st nationally ranked. Returning production is actually pretty good. So if this is the year Rutgers makes bowl eligibility, it's this year. But they're definitely not beating the big three, Penn State, Michigan, or Ohio State, especially with that 30th rated strength of schedule. But we'll have to see how Rutgers finishes through the year. Next is Indiana, a team that, if there's ever a team that proved that 2020 was an absolute anomaly, Indiana is that squad. They finished with the second best record in the Big Ten at 6-2, and since then they have not compiled a combined 6 wins in the last 2 seasons. They went 10-2 or 2-10, and then they went 3-9 last year as well. It doesn't look like they're going to get any better this year. 105th in returning production out of 133 teams does not look good, and that 14th rated overall strength of schedule, 14th hardest in the country, not looking good for the Hoosiers. They might finish in dead last in the Big Ten, definitely in the Big Ten East yet again. We'll just have to see. Both Rutgers and Indiana at the bottom of the Big Ten East. Next is Nebraska, another team that hasn't made a bowl game since 2016. Yes, Barack Obama was the last president, the last time Nebraska has made it to a bowl game. 4-8 last year, 38th ranked strength of schedule, and they're 88th in returning production. Matt Rule in his first year, we'll have to see if he rights the boat with Nebraska in his first year. The way he goes is the first year is not good, and then the second year they rebound a lot, and then the third year they're right back into the top tier of the conference. But Nebraska is etching for that 6-win season, that bowl eligibility for the first time in 8 years. We'll see when Nebraska can do this year with the new head coach. Number 10, Michigan State, one of the teams that was absolutely dismantled by the transfer portal and graduation. As you see in the bottom there, 122nd in returning production rating. That means not a lot of people coming back, whether it's seniors, juniors, or freshmen, upperclassmen or not, does not look good for the Spartans. They had a chance to get bowl eligible last year with Indiana, but they choked in that game. And I think everybody's predicting them to get to bowl eligibility this year, but it's going to be a trek. 6 overall strength of schedule, 6 hardest in the whole country. They're ranked 54th in the preseason composite power ratings overall. Number 9, Purdue, a team that went to the Big Ten championship game last year, finished 8-6, and got absolutely annihilated by LSU in that bowl game. Although they did not have their head coach, and they didn't have basically their whole offense. The 13th rated overall strength of schedule and the 100th rated returning production does not bear well for the reigning Big Ten West division champs. 47th overall nationally in the power ratings, but I think the over/under for win total for Purdue is 5.5 this year. I would smash that under. I do not think Purdue is going to be that good, in my personal opinion. But they're ranked 9th all the preseason power ratings. Maryland, a team that is destined to break out of that slump, and the only way they can get out of that mediocrity position in the Big Ten East is to beat one of the big three. And with how good those teams are getting, I do not see that happening this year, although they could potentially get to 9 wins. Last year they finished 8-5. and they have the 9th most amount of players and returning production on their team. So, including their quarterback, which is one of the most important factors in all of college football. 50th rating strength of schedule, not that hard, one of the easiest in Power 5, and their overall power rating nationally is 40th. So this could be a very surprising and dark horse team that could get to quietly get to 9 wins this year before the bowl season. So we'll have to see. Number 7, Illinois, another team that was dismantled by graduation in the transfer portal, namely the NFL draft. 120th rated in the returning production. They lost a lot on defense, although their defensive line, I do believe many of them are returning. Their secondary is just dismantled. One of the best secondaries, if not the best secondary in all of college football last year. Illinois finished 8-5 with their best season by far in a long time. Nationally ranked 35th. Strength of schedule is 34th, which is actually pretty difficult for a Big Ten West squad. Illinois looks to keep up their momentum. Brett Bielema, he's done a fantastic job there as coach. I mean, the expectations for Illinois have been so low the past few years, but he's exceeded them each and every year. So let's see if Illinois. Some people have actually picked them to win the Big Ten West this year as the dark horse candidate. So we'll have to see how they perform going forward. Wisconsin, probably the odds-on favorite to win the West this year. Very lackluster 2022 season, finished 7-6, and they have 71st rated in returning production. Strength of schedule is relatively easier at 46. They're ranked 24th nationally. Wisconsin, another team just like Nebraska, getting Luke Fickell at the head coach, getting the transfer quarterback Tanner Mordecai is coming in, completely revamping the offense. Not typical 2 tight ends, fullback I formation. This is going to be a spread team, and we'll have to see if the culture change is enough that doesn't outweigh the style of offense and the style of team that they always played, complementary football, offense and defense. Let's see if that is going to be a detriment or a benefit to this team, and improving after 7-6 season in 2022. Number 5, Minnesota, one of the quietest 9-4 teams in the Big Ten, I'd say, in recent memory. This team has the 4th hardest overall strength of schedule. Minnesota playing in the West. They play both Michigan and Ohio State in that cross-division matchup. I think that has a lot to do with why their rating is so high in the national rank, 23rd. Although they do have 106 rated returning production. They bring in the new quarterback after Morgan is finally gone after like 5 years. I forget his name. The guy's quarterback's name is impossible to pronounce, but I think he has a lot of talent, a lot of potential, and this team, a lot of people can say, has one of the 3 best chances to win the West, along with Wisconsin and this next team, Iowa. 8-5, nationally ranked 22nd. One of the returning production is 32nd, and overall strength of schedule is 48th. But one of the most abysmal offenses we've seen in probably at least a decade, if not longer. I can't remember the last team that was that bad on offense, but that good on defense. This team somehow got the 7 wins. I think the first 3 games they scored like 1 total touchdown on offense. It's still 2-1. But key transfers, Cade McNamara and Eric All out of Michigan, the quarterback and the tight end, give them at least a competent quarterback that they have not had the last 2 years to go along with that stingent defense that's been top 10, top 15 most of the past 2 seasons. And always said, any of these pundits and reporters said, at least in the Big Ten, saying if Iowa has just had at least a competent, not even average, a competent quarterback, they could easily get to 9 wins. I think the over/under a month ago for this team was 7.5. I would pound that over. They could easily get to 9 wins, I think, this year, and I think they're the favorites to win the West, in my opinion. I think they should win it, especially with their schedule and having a competent quarterback and long to go with that defense. Top 3, Penn State. The 11-2 season last year, I mean, obviously the only 2 losses were to Ohio State and Michigan, 2 teams that were in the college football playoff, and they had that dominant second half against Utah in the Rose Bowl. This team is a 2023 team. Last year they were good, but Michigan and Ohio State were just that much better. This is going to be Penn State's year. I think this is the best team that James Franklin had, at least on paper, and he has his 5-star quarterback, Drew Allar, is taking over for what's his name? I forget. I forget the guy's name they had for the last like 4 years. Sorry guys if I can't recall his name, but he's taken over for him at the helm. 80th in production returning, but they have a lot of talent. Just overall composite in their recruiting rankings. Strength of schedule, one of the easiest in Power 5 at 57th. You can see they're 5th rated overall nationally. This team has a chance, like these top 3 teams have a chance to win the Big Ten East and possibly make the CFP. These next two is the most surprising. Michigan, who's coming off 2 straight Big Ten championship seasons, back-to-back, went undefeated in the regular season last year, 13-0. Before that heartbreaking loss in the Fiesta Bowl at TCU to finish 13-1. They have the 19th most returning production, including J.J. McCarthy, the quarterback, Blake Corum, and Donovan Edwards, and most of their receiving core, along with, I think, 4 of their 5 starting offensive linemen. This team, this is Jim Harbaugh's team. If there's ever a chance to him, at least to even get to the national title game, never mind, getting to the CFP. They've done that 2 years in a row. This is his chance to get to the title game and potentially win it. This is his team. The only thing I have to say about this is I'm shocked that Michigan in all these composite rankings is not averaged to number 1, given they've beaten Ohio State twice 2 years in a row, and they've only had 3 losses total the last 2 years. I mean, they're the team to beat in the Big Ten, but according to these power ratings, Ohio State is the team to beat. 11-2 last year, 3rd ranked overall nationally in the power ratings, 57th in returning production. The biggest stat I have to say about this is that they don't have a quarterback returning. But one stat I do have to say is I think each of the last 10 quarterbacks, it was 10 straight years, a starting quarterback from Ohio State has been at least 1 year in his time as starter, been first team All Big Ten. So Kyle McCord, if he is named the starter, he has a chance to probably be a Big Ten, all Big Ten conference quarterback either this year or next year, if history does repeat itself. Ohio State is one of the harder Power 5 strength of schedules, ranked 12th right now currently. They got to go at Michigan, at Notre Dame. They play Penn State at home. This is going to be an interesting matchup or interesting year for the Big 3 and the Big East. We'll see which one of these 3 teams has what it takes to win the East and make it to the Big Ten championship and also potentially make it to the CFP. Here's a look at overall 1 through 14. As you see, Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State 3, 4, and 5, and then just a massive drop off between 3 and 4 through 9. Or they're 22 to 47. They're about even, and then Michigan State, Nebraska, Indiana, kind of below average, and then Rutgers, Northwestern, they're just not going to have a good year, and the power ratings show that. So that is the preseason composite power ratings for the Big Ten going into this year. What are your thoughts? Who should be higher or lower? Who will win this conference? Anything else you guys want me to know? Follow me on Twitter and Instagram, SportsNerd92. I'll see you guys next time, and can't wait for college football to start, guys. See you then.